Hey guys, on today's video I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a how-to guide on how to spot a real low-mile bump-side truck. A lot of these trucks, when you see them for sale, they say low miles or original miles or something like that. They only have a 5-digit odometer. And today I'm going to show you how to spot a real one. We got a real one here, so you don't want to miss that. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I guess I'll start off with just an overview of this truck. We've had it in our possession about 17 years, 18 years, I think, something like that. And it's a super original truck. Just do a walk around. It has some damage here. This trim piece was broke off these clips right here, and I just took it off to keep from snagging stuff right there because it was sticking out a little bit. But there it is right there. And it is not perfect. That is I guess the first thing I could say about an original truck is usually they're not perfect. You know, it's a 50-year-old truck. This one's a 69, so it's 51 years old. But they are not perfect. If you do find a perfect one, it's probably been done up. This one has not been touched. It's not been restored. Nothing has been fixed on it. And I guess that's what makes it so cool, just because it's just how it left the factory. See, it has, the fender is rotten out here. It's the only spot that has rust, and it was like that when we bought it. We got it from northern Kansas, so there's a little bit of rust in it. The best thing about this truck is the interior. The way the doors open, perfect headliner, and it has 46,000 miles on it. Now keep in mind, this truck has not been restored. Perfect dash pad, and even look up here. This stuff is just perfect. But anyway, that's kind of overview of the truck. I'm going to show you a few things that I look for when you're looking at a truck like this, and it helps you spot whether or not this thing has rolled over before, because the odometer on these is only 5 digits. So like this one has 46,000 miles on it. Well, it could be 146. You know, it could be 246. So you just don't know how many times it's rolled over. And a lot of times you see sellers, and it might just be that they don't know, or they might be trying to trick somebody. They'll say, oh, it has 57,000 miles on it. And you look at the pictures of the truck, and it's all beat up and used up, and you're like, there's no way that truck has 57,000 miles on it. So I see it all the time, and I just don't want anybody to either, one, get screwed, or two, think that they have a super low mile truck when it really isn't. And it takes away from a truck like this when you say, oh, it's an original mile truck, and people are like, oh yeah, sure, you know, whatever. But anyway, I don't want to be too ranty in this video, so I'm going to try to keep from doing that. That's my one and only rant. But okay, let's get started with what I look for. And the very first thing I look for is the pedals. You can look at the pedals here and see they have this ribbing on them. On a higher mileage truck, especially one with the clutch, because the clutch gets used a lot, the edges will be wore off here on the corners. The gas pedal not so much, but usually right here in the corners they will be wore off. So it may not be wore off. It could be a truck with high miles and it's not wore off, so that's not a perfect indicator. But if you see a truck that's advertised low miles and the pedals show wear, it's usually been rolled over a time or two. So that is the very first thing I look for. A second thing that's good to look for on a black steering wheel, it's a little bit harder, but these early steering wheels here, and I guess the two spokes too, mostly the colored ones like the red and blue and green ones, the paint will be wore off of this, or I don't know if it's paint or what, dye, but you'll see it wear off on this wheel here. Now this one's, you know, black, so I don't think the black ones do it because they're black underneath, but you'll see it. If you see one, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it'll be wore off there. Another thing that you can look at that you can see in pictures in a for sale ad is the paint right here. You know, a lot of these trucks didn't have air conditioning, so a lot of the time was windows down, arm out the window. The paint will be wore off right here. It'll be wore off right here, and sometimes even right here. If there's a lot of arm time on the windows. So that's another thing to look for. And armrest. The armrests get beat up and chewed up. So those are some visual things you can look at in the pictures. And another thing I guess you could look at is the paint. If it's been repainted and it's real shiny, it's not original. See how this one's kind of dull? I guess you could buff it and it would still be original. But if you're looking for one that's super original, this kind of dull paint is kind of what you get from being 50-year-old paint. Which you could buff this and it would shine and it would still be original paint. Here's kind of there's some shine in it. But I guess it just depends on how original you want it. You know, some of the trucks that they buff up, that people are reselling and stuff, a lot of these edges right here, they burn through the paint. And especially if there's no trim on the bump, they might burn through the paint on the bump here and like the corners and stuff. I've seen a lot of it right here. I think the paint might be thinner right here, but a lot of them burn out right here, and I just don't like that at all. I'd much rather it be left original. So now we can kind of go into the more, you're at the truck, you're looking at the truck, the pictures look good, everything in the pictures look good, and you actually have hands on the truck and you want to see how original it is. Now the one thing about this truck, anybody that comes and looks at it, they say, oh my gosh, those doors and how they open. You just push the button and it just opens up perfectly and shuts, and just the way everything works, it hasn't been opened and shut 100,000 times, you know, so it's still in good shape. Another thing to look for is right here, these foam deals. A lot of times these just deteriorated away and fell off, and this truck still has them. If your truck has that, it's a pretty good indication that it's pretty low miles, or at least well taken care of, because that foam just didn't last. Another thing to look for would be how well the windows roll down and just how effortlessly that rolls down. Something that's been used a lot, or you know, not taken care of and then fixed up and kind of done up, that window doesn't roll up and down as easy as it should, just in my experience. Another thing that's easy to look for a repaint job, if something's been repainted and you're wondering if it's original paint, these screws right here, a lot of times these get painted over. And you know, like that screw, if you have trim piece, this little screw here, this bolt here, a lot of times they get painted over. And this sticker here, you know, a lot of times they don't worry about painting over that sticker. And the edges of your door tag, if they do a bad job, a tape job, you know, you'll see little bitty paint marks right there. So this is a good area to look for a repaint. And the door striker right here, a lot of times that gets painted and it should just be gray metal. Or the bumper here, you know, stuff like that is good to look for. Another good thing to look for original paint is right here. getting in and out, your feet drag on this and it wears the paint off, and it's got a little bit of paint wear right there, but not a lot. On a higher mileage truck, this would all be wore off. So let's go look at our crew cab and see what the door jambs look like on it, and maybe it'll help give you guys a better idea of what I'm talking about here. Okay. Well, they did a pretty good job on the this truck's been painted before. I don't know if the door jambs have, but you can tell right here, see this paint's flaking off and it's a different color underneath, and there's two different layers. You know, it's pretty obvious to tell it's been repainted. I think the door jambs are original. You can see there's some wear here, and here's the wear on the, okay, yeah, here you can tell the outside was just repainted, not the inside. See, this is all good paint, and this is wore off here, and even kind of pitted from just arm sweat and stuff over the years. And here's, you know, the armrest is blown out of it, and right here there's marks from your foot on the door, and right here all the paint is gone off of this door seal, this door jamb here. So now this is kind of an extreme example because this truck has a lot of use on it, but it gives you an idea of the wear points where the paint gets wore down, and see how it's wore down all the way to the metal right there. And on the steering wheel, this is a 2-spoke. I don't think the 2 spokes wear out like the 3 spokes do, but you can see how it's cracked. These 2 spokes were terrible about that. The 3 spokes do it a little bit, but the 2 spokes are really bad, this part right here. So you can have a low mileage truck and the steering wheel looks like crap, so that's not a very good indicator. And you see here those foam pieces, they're all gone right here. Obviously, you know, those things do not last. So, and let me open this door. I don't know if you can tell a difference just in the way it sounds. It's more clunky. It's not as tight, and you know, that's pretty typical about how those bump side doors open. And let me run this one right back to back. I don't know if that's going to come across in video, but we'll see. Okay, moving on. Some more things to check. Right here, all this stuff was painted, so from the factory. So a repaint, you won't be able to tell anything here because all of this was painted. The seat, some trucks that I've had, the seat is really spongy, and you sit down and you sit way down and you bounce up and down when you drive. Well, when these things were new, they were actually pretty firm, like this one, and over time sitting in them a lot, they get bouncy and broke down. So that's a good indication of a real good seat. Here's the back side. See how it's all nice and taut and put together. A lot of times this area gets tore up a lot. And back in here, if it's a super original truck, there will be the build spec sheet, which we have here. See the pattern here? That's from the springs. These springs here, it was behind these springs. But this was the build sheet when it was in the factory. It has a VIN number and all the specs on all the options and stuff it had. It's pretty cool. So not many of the trucks still have these because it is super brittle. Okay, looking back here, these early trucks, 69, 67, 69, these have a body color fuel tank. So if fuel tank's been replaced, you'll be able to see that be different color, black or something. But 70 to 72s, they have black tanks. So on those, they changed. But just right here, see how clean all this stuff is? That's a good way to tell. These clamps right here, a lot of times if the tank's been out or anything, these get replaced. These are original and unmolested. So that is, of course, that's not a deterrent. You know, if a truck's set for a long time and has good is in good shape, the fuel tank's probably going to be all rusted out and have a problem. So, you know, that's not not too bad of a knock against something. Another thing I look for is the bed. Does the bed condition match the truck? Because if you have a super low mile truck that the interior is just flawless in, the outside looks great, you know, and all those things in the door jamb like I talked about are in good shape, the bed should look the same, because you're not going to have an old beat up work truck bed and have the interior just be perfect. So this truck, see how the bed, there's no dings in it, there's no scratches, you know, there's scratches in it, but it's still got the paint on most of it, and the bed bolts aren't painted. The bed bolts weren't painted originally, so those are some good things to check. The tailgate does have some wear here, and that's a good way to spot an original truck and not a repaint, because there is going to be wear in the bed, you know, mostly. Some trucks, if they had a mat or a topper on them or a mat in the back, the bed is just spotless, but there should be wear items on it somewhere, so you know, be able to spot original stuff there. Let's go out and look at my 67 Highboy, and I'll show you some stuff that I was talking about on this other truck here. Okay, this truck's been repainted before, and you can see here in the door jamb, like I was talking, these bolts are painted, that one's painted, and these are painted. If you look at my door tag, you can see some paint on it right there, so you can tell it's been repainted before. And all these are painted. The interior has not been repainted, just the doors. And look up here, you know, you see some stuff, some rust and stuff, but the doors were repainted, and the exterior was repainted. Let's see. And if you look here on the bed has been repainted before, but it also has been used more. See, there's dents in the fender there. Everything's a little bit more scraped up. My bed bolts were painted. When I had the bed off and everything, I put new bed bolts in it, but the bed bolts were painted over. His tailgate's a little rougher. His dent there and stuff. Just evidence of it being used more. This bed's actually in pretty good shape, but kind of gives you an idea of a truck. This one has rolled over. I don't know how. This one has rolled over. I don't know how many times, but there, this stuff's been painted and stuff. So now that we've kind of gone over the interior and stuff, let's go under the hood. Okay, under here things are a little grimy because it's not been detailed or anything. This is just how the truck is, you know, we haven't cleaned it up or nothing. Up here there's a rubber piece that goes along here, and most of the time that is completely gone, and the fact that there's still some of it here is a good indication. So just because that looks rough doesn't necessarily detract from the truck, because they're all bad. In fact, over here, this is what they normally look like, just completely gone. That piece is completely gone, and the washer lines are still there. A lot of times those rot away from, you know, just general wear and tear, and a lot of times they're gone, but you can also buy replacements. So, you know, it's not a telltale sign. A lot of this stuff just kind of all adds together when you're looking at a truck and trying to decide, you know, what condition it is. And the engine in this thing has been obviously not rebuilt or anything. Still has a good sticker on the valve cover, sticker on the air cleaner. It is peeling up a little bit, but it's still on there, you know. And even the exhaust, which we think is factory, still is gray and not rusted out, which is pretty cool. A lot of these bolts right here, that's another good sign to see if something's been painted before. These should not be painted. So if they painted painted this with the fender on the truck, a lot of times they just tape over the inner fender here, and these bolts get painted, but they're not supposed to be painted. I've also seen this stuff here have a spray on it, overspray, so you can tell there. And I've also seen spray back on the this core support here. You know, they're painting this stuff here, and some paint gets, they don't get this taped off just perfect because it's pretty hard to do. And the hood latch here, sometimes this gets painted or gets paint on it from a repaint, and you can see all of this is black, and there's no, these bolts aren't painted, and stuff like, little stuff like that really helps add up the condition of a truck as far as original or repainted. So it's not always the same on every truck, obviously, because, you know, some trucks might have a little touch up here and a little touch up there and stuff like that. Okay, this dash pad here, I'm trying to think of a good way to tell a reproduction dash pad from an original dash pad, and I don't have a fail-proof way to tell. This is an original dash pad, and it is in perfect condition. A lot of these things crack, get real cracked in here and peel up and stuff, but this is an original. And I was going to say my reproduction is kind of wavy here in the back, but this one's a little wavy too, so I guess I don't have a good thing to say about dash pads as far as way to know if they're original or not. You know, it's got the jack sticker here. This hasn't been repainted. You know, and the floor mat. I guess the floor mat would be a good thing to. Let me go get a light. Okay, the floor mat here is another good way to tell a real original truck versus a restored one, or one that's even been messed with. The floor mat here, the factory floor mats just lay perfect on the floor. A lot of the aftermarket ones, there's a lot of wrinkles and stuff here on the tunnel, and the just general look and feel of these is a lot different. It's kind of hard to just describe it on camera, but you'll know it when you see it, basically. And the firewall pad there, the factory ones are just have a different look about them, and you can kind of tell. And on this truck in particular, see if I can do it with the light I got here. You can tell just under here is just super clean. You know, and it has all the wiring and everything super clean. But it can be different with every truck, just the conditions it was stored in. But just thought I would show this one here that's in really good shape. See that hole around the headlight switch there? It's not perfect. That's the way they did them from the factory. But it does lay down really good along the floor there. Now I'm going to show you under the truck here. And this, I was debating whether or not I was going to do this or not, because every truck is going to be different. Just the conditions it was in. You can have a truck like this that was, you know, up north or something, and it's just completely rotted out, and just, you know, even being low miles. But this one's pretty good. I thought I would just kind of show what the underside looks like on this low miles truck. It's still grimy. It's got grease here on the slip joints, and that's a factory style big long round muffler. That's the way the factory would have been, but a lot of times those are rusted out, and that one's on its way to being rusted out. So greasy and oily under here, but here's the cab mounts. It's a big thing on a Bumpside. The cab mounts rust out, but hope you guys like that. That's just my take on this original truck here, and things I kind of overview of what I look for when I'm buying an original truck like this. And this video isn't to knock anybody that's doing restored trucks or even the patina look. You know, that's just a different mindset when you're looking at trucks whenever you're going to restore one or something. If you're looking for one that's original and just, you know, hasn't been touched, you really have to do your homework. And having this truck here, I thought it was a good tool to show you guys some things to look for. So hope you enjoyed that. If you have anything that you look for when you're looking for a truck, let me know in the comments below, and like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.